Again, hello, welcome to Words Have Power. Give me 1 second. I can get the word out. All right. So, for anyone who watches, I am live streaming on the other app, the Tubes of You. Same name. All right. So false imprisonment. Hello to everyone out there, especially those of you who are new. I'm a former sheriff's deputy. I'm a former victims advocate, and I worked in high-end private security for a lot of years. We did a lot of disaster relief. We worked a lot of cases, both paid and pro bono, for people who were dealing with stalkers to help them build cases against their stalkers. So we did a lot of different kinds of work. So I'm going to be talking about false imprisonment because you have a lot of that going on in the US right now. ICE is not supposed to have any kind of right to go into a hospital and take just whomever without a warrant of any kind, right? They're also not supposed to be able to go take children out of schools or threaten to even. They are not supposed to just grab you off the street, right, and just take you. They're not supposed to be masked with no badge, no patches, no identifying anything. Their vehicles are unmarked, so you can't tell who they are or what they're doing. Okay? That's not supposed to be a thing. I'm an ex-sheriff's deputy. If we had done this sort of thing back when I was working for the SD, there was no qualified immunity then. We would have lost everything. Yeah, we would have been arrested, and we would have been the ones going to processing. It would have been us who was dealing with that. What is it doing over here? So the fact that law enforcement over in the US is currently attacking people on the streets, in hospitals, in churches, in courtrooms. You go for your court appointment and they decide they're going to come take you. Regardless of what the judge is saying, even if your case is dismissed and you're fine, you can go along your way. If you have a last name that seems like it might be Hispanic or Latin, or Latino, then they might just come take you. And it doesn't matter what shade your skin is anymore. So, pale people, some of you have already found out. Now more of you are going to. And even Dump's supporters are finding this out. People that voted for him are having this happen to them. And then, of course, crying. Oh, well, keep on crying. Hey, Rising Phoenix, how you doing? Wait. Is that Luna? Okay, I got 3 different names running through my head for you. Also, I'm over on the Tubes of You, same name. That's where I will be live streaming more so, because over here, why don't you tap that screen, y'all? Tap that screen. I think you can do that on YouTube as well. So tap the screen, everybody. Tap the screen. So according to the Constitution of the US, you are supposed to be able to move freely throughout your local or state or countrywide, right? Without being stopped and harassed by law enforcement. You're not supposed to have to produce your documents and just keep your documents on you. Go grab some milk. Okay, that's not how that works. You're supposed to be able to move freely in America. That's what Americans have always prided themselves on, the fact that America's the land of the free. It isn't anymore. Most assuredly, it is not anymore. Tap that like, tap the screen, tap, 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 tap. Share all the things, do all the things. Grabbing people off the streets, very grotesque. Yes, and in fact, yeah. Never thought the leopards would eat my face, right? That song is so perfect. Yeah, so I find it astonishing that you're not hearing from MAGA that they're not even like upset that they can't walk freely around and move around and do the thing without being jacked up by someone who claims to be law enforcement, but they don't have a badge, they don't have a patch, they're not identifying themselves, they have a mask up to past their nose so you can barely see their face. Their vehicle looks like it's just a vehicle, it's unmarked, so who knows? And then now you got people, there are people out there who are trying to track the license plates for these vehicles where they're grabbing people, tossing them into a vehicle and leaving off, all right? They're tracking these plates, and a lot of them are coming back for vehicles that are not those vehicles or otherwise obscured. That would have to happen through the DMV, more than likely, unless it's federal. But even then, for what? What are they obscuring these licenses for? These license plates for? Why? Why? There's no reason for them to be doing that. They'll not start getting upset until they get affected. I mean, yeah, it has to affect them. Then they will be upset. Well, kind of defeats the whole purpose of, you know, because that also takes care of yourself. Like they're not getting it. Scary as that is. So in the last live stream on the Tubes of You, I went over the fact that when you have law enforcement that is not, they're not advising you of who they're with, like at all, okay? That leaves the door open for people to impersonate law enforcement, and that will happen. That is already happening. Guess what? That's already happening, y'all. I was trying to warn people about this back when this first started with ICE, supposedly ICE, right? At that time, I was already warning people. You're going to have people who impersonate law enforcement. These are probably going to be serial offenders of a variety of ways, okay? And bad things are going to happen. Well, now that's happening. Well, guess what? All of those lawsuits that are going to come up from this, and there will be lawsuits that come up from this, all right? All of those lawsuits should be sent to the current administration, and they should be forced to personally pay for them. Guess what? Dump apparently has immunity, so he can do whatever. But all those people who are ICE or feds or whatever, they don't have immunity. Those departments don't have immunity. Start suing the piss out of them. Get the point across. Force them to realize that they have messed up. Go for those wallets. Anyone who is associated or instigating or aiding and abetting this travesty of justice where law enforcement doesn't apparently have to disclose who they work for now anymore, that should come with consequences. Severe and serious consequences. That's the only way you're going to get anything to change, because I don't know if they're going to listen to music festivals. We can't say certain words on here. You know what I mean? Music festivals are going to help. It's going to get the point across. And the more people, the better. But lawsuits. And now you got a representative in Texas who's being held in the Capitol because she refuses to sign a permission slip for herself to be basically detained without being arrested. Like moving around freely, but she's going to be followed everywhere she goes. For what? For leaving the state? When, according to the Texas Constitution, they're supposed to be able to break quorum in certain situations, which lawsuits, I'm telling you. And then I guess apparently the other representatives who were with her tore up the permission slips. And so they are also going to be detained in the Capitol building. I'm not going to cuss. I'm not going to cuss. This is ridiculous. Either you're a country of laws or you're a country with no laws. And it appears that at the moment, the US is a country with no laws. Thank you for tapping that screen. I appreciate it. Everybody else tap that screen. And if you don't mind, share with other people. Let me do this too. Share the live stream. I don't know how long I'm going to be up here, but I'm going to be live streaming on the tubes of you probably several times a day on weekdays, Monday through Friday. So as an ex-sheriff's deputy, okay, if I was interacting with someone, I had to identify myself. But then I was in a uniform that made me easily identified. Okay, I had my badge, I had my patches, I had my... You knew that I was a sheriff's deputy just by looking at me, okay? When I was on the clock, because I was in uniform. You could tell. You didn't even have to ask, because in Orleans Parish at that time, it was black shirt, black pants, which sucked horribly in the middle of summer. But I'm just saying, black shirt, black pants, patches on both sleeves right here, and easily identifiable, okay? Even when we had our jackets had Sheriff's Department on the back and on the, I think right here. So you could tell what department I was with, okay? The entire time I was on the SD, I never got into a fight, never had to. I just talked with people. We were trained in community policing, community outreach. If we were in a unit, we had to stop every so often and get out of our cars or roll down the windows, because in the summer it's so ungodly hot in those uniforms, okay? So we'd have the AC on with our windows down, so we're getting some air. And we would talk with people, business, shop owners, people who lived in and around the French Quarter. We patrolled in the 7th and 8th districts, and sometimes the 9th. It depended on where we were needed, but mostly 7th and 8th districts. And we stop and, talk with people, get out and get a cold drink and snacks from shops right there, and ask them how they're doing. Are there any problems? Do they need help with anything? What's going on around, But that's how we would find out about, well, that dude keeps spiking women's drinks and this is getting out of pocket and, this, that, and the third. Yes, that happened many times. Many times. You cannot have so-called law enforcement, masked, unidentifiable, just out there, grabbing people, tossing them in a vehicle and leaving out. That's how serial red rummers start coming up and popping off hard and grabbing children, women, men. You're not going to be exempt from this, okay? Because there are offenders who like to go after men too. Just keep that in mind, okay? Just keep it in mind. It can hurt you too. Thank you so much for tapping the screen. I appreciate it, by the way, so much. There's a distinct, so there are two, maybe three kinds of people who join law enforcement, okay? There are the people who want to help their community, and they have been victims in the past themselves, okay? They were ARD or childhood trauma of some sort, and they want to do something where they can help to try to make things better. That's part of the reason I went into law enforcement. I wanted to help my community. I had also wanted to screw over two NOPD officers in particular, and I did. I did that. I'm so happy I did that. I regret nothing. Then there's the person who wants a stable job with benefits where you're less likely for no reason whatsoever. You just want a stable job, okay? and you just want the benefits and all of the things. Any kind of trafficker will use what laws they can to hide behind their actions. Yes, they will. I don't know if I can. Can I pin your comment? Because I like that's. Yes, I can. But that's true. So Rising Phoenix over on the Tubes of You said any kind of trafficker will use what laws they can to hide behind their actions. That is true. 1000%. Shoot, I forgot my. Okay, and then you have. So you have those two types of officers: the ones who want to help, the ones who want a stable job, and then you have the ones who are the bullies. They were probably the washed-up jocks who didn't make it into the NFL. The ones who hate everyone who's not just like them, if you catch my drift, right? The ones who are just hateful to be hateful because they hate themselves and they hate their lives. Usually they're dumb as tree stumps. Half the time they get in and they have like an auntie or something that works there that helps them like get through, and it's nepotism, right? It's those are the ones you really got to watch out for, because those are the ones they don't care who they screw over. They will screw over anyone happily and brag about it because they think they're untouchable. They think that they're in with the old boys club where it's just all brutality all the time and they can do whatever they want. All right. But at some point, the pendulum that has now swung to the right, that pendulum's going to swing to the left. So it's going to go from Republicans attacking anyone who's not like them, right? Because they're also attacking other Republicans who don't look like them. Okay? See what I'm saying? So at some point, the Democrats are going to get back into power. It's just going to happen because usually it's Republican, then Democrat, then Republican, then Democrat, right? Well, what are the Republicans going to do? They think that they will be safe. That Democrats will not do what Republicans have done. Do you really want to bet your life, liberty, and freedom and your children's life, liberty, and freedom on that? You really want to make that bet? I don't think that's a good bet to make. When you take things away, when the federal government takes things away, it is harder to get those things back. You cannot put the manure back in the horse, okay? And the U.S. is currently on an extremely slippery slope. This has already led to people being unjustly deported to countries they don't even know, over to a country in Africa, but you're Honduras or Mexican. Sending everyone over to Venezuela. For why? What? To make a deal. It's just ridiculous. Why not retire and rest for the rest of your life as a woman? That's my goal. I mean, that's your goal if that's what you want. But me, I have children who are in the U.S. and I want them to be happy. I have a grandbaby over there, and I want my children and my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren and my great-great-grandchildren to be free. And I do include any future granddaughters I have in that. I want them to have full rights as a human being. And this current administration wants to take all women's rights away. Your right to vote, your right to own property, your right to rent or buy a property without a man co-signing, or have a bank account, a credit card without a man co-signing. They want to take away all of your rights and put you back under Covenanter law. That's a hard word to say. Which means you will have no rights. You will be the property of whatever man is in your life. So your father or your brother or your husband or your brother-in-law, whatever man you have in your life, that is who you will be the property of. If you want to be property of some rando douche canoe who probably can't even keep his own shit straight or figure out how to keep a house straight himself, if you want to be property, that's on you. I choose no. And I choose no for my descendants. America is supposed to be the land of the free, home of the brave. That should be for everyone. It's either for everyone or it's for no one. Because you can be damn straight, men are not prepared for what's coming if these whack jobs have their way. Men, the structure of the US for the average ordinary person, it's what man can afford to, do all of those things that they want men to do now. Men would have to be the ones to decide who's going to be voted for or not, or whatever, right? Men would have to do every fucking thing. But to be real, poor women have always worked in some capacity. It would just be as a laundress or something, right? Or babysitting or something along those lines. Like, where do I live now? Now I'm in Scotland. We left the US because we had to, because of the current administration. So, qualified immunity needs to be abolished and tossed in the garbage and permanently banned. There is absolutely no reason that qualified immunity is even a thing. Absolutely not. But it is. Meanwhile, the Republican Party in Texas is holding Democratic representatives hostage in the state capitol, not allowing them to leave freely because they want them to sign permission slips to be surveilled for no crime at all. Be content with my children losing their freedom, my grandchildren losing their freedom. What's to be content with that? Are you in the US? Are you in? You're making your life stressful artificially. My children, two of my children, and my one grandbaby are in the US. So I have a vested interest in talking about this, and I will continue to do so. If you don't like it, you don't have to be here. The point of this whole channel is changing, and that is several of my former colleagues were kidnapped by who knows who, might be ICE, may not be ICE, but these are good people. These were victims advocates. These are the people who meet you in the hospital when bad things happen, and they were grabbed up off the streets and nobody knows where they are. So yes, I'm going to be talking out about this, most assuredly, until I know where my former colleagues are, why several dudes try to force their way into the office where all of the files are kept for the victims, SA and R, and they try to demand access to the files. Yes, I will be speaking out. If you don't like that, that's not my problem. Freedom of speech. The Constitution of the United States says that we have the right to speak out when the government is committing acts of tyranny. We have that right. I'm going to utilize that right. I had to move so that two of my family members here would be safe. And me also, because guess what? I'm genderqueer. I'm on the autism spectrum. I have several intersections that are apparently being targeted right now by the US government. I have every right to speak up. If you don't like women speaking, you're in the wrong place. We have one last question. You'll bail after. Okay. What's that? I don't have to justify my right to speak about what's happening. But I find it funny that I never see men ask this question. Isn't that interesting? It's almost always women who are asked that question. Ask your question already. So, according to the Constitution, if you are in the US, on US soil, you are supposed to have all kinds of just inalienable rights, right? The right to move freely throughout the country. Even if you're a woman, which they're going to try to take that right away too. You're a woman. Okay, well, don't go to the US if you're not in the US, because if you are in the US, you might not be able to move freely from one state to another soon. You might want to start speaking out real quick. You might not be able to leave the US to go to another country, even for vacation, because you might be pregnant and you might try to end that pregnancy. So you can't be trusted to move freely. You know, it's not just a right, it's our effing duty to speak out when tyranny occurs. Exactly. Thank you. Yes. You're a woman. Well, then, why are you sitting by the sidelines? Your rights are being taken away. Because if you think this won't affect you in other countries, you're wrong. This is definitely going to be transported to other countries. Yeah. Oh, hey, Bunny. How you doing? What's up? Please tap the screen, share that live. I'm also over on the Tubes of You, if y'all want to come over. Yes, the Tubes of You, same name. I'm mostly going to be streaming over there because you don't have to deal with as much BS over there as you do here. What are you doing to help the situation other than talking on Twitch? Oh, I'm also on Twitch. Literally all kinds of things. You apparently don't know me. Okay, so offline I do. Wait, currently I have been trying to help find my former colleagues and coworkers who were abducted off the streets. That's the thing. I also do a whole lot of victims advocacy, helping people get out of DV situations, helping hook them up with victims advocates in their local areas, helping them figure out how to deal with a stalking situation, all kinds of things. Lately, I have been helping with other things that I'm not going to talk about right now because the US is tyrannical right now, and it wouldn't be safe for me to say. Same name? Yes, same name. Words have power, MH. What are you doing to help? Is a better question. Knows what I'm doing. What are you doing to help? Sitting back, relaxing, taking a chill pill. I could do that too. I'm in Scotland. It's beautiful here. I could be out walking around right now. I don't have to do this. I don't have to fight for your rights, but that's what I'm doing in many different ways. What are you doing to help? I hope you're doing something, because this is an all hands on deck thing. This will affect every country. What happens with the US quite often can affect what happens in other countries. So, hey, babe, can you hand me my, oh, you need, thanks, babe. Huh? Oh, right. Right on. Pass the sticks. Hey, Pass the Sticks, how you doing? What's up? Ugh. I just love it when people try to school me and be like, what are you doing besides just getting online? You have no idea. You had no idea. Helping people figure out how to get permits for things and all kinds of other stuff. What are you doing? Silence. You're relaxing. Probably a boomer. All right, so my phone is kind of losing the charge over here. So I'm probably going to jump out of here and hang out over on the Tubes of You for a minute. And I will be live streaming. I'm going to try to do 2 or 3 times a day. They're going to be shorter live streams. So this is going to be interesting. All right, so how Who is basically running a brothel, a jail. It's the one who was unalived by the sheriff's deputy, pew-pewed in his office. That's great. That's the US. Eh. I still have to figure out how to share videos on stream where I'm just figuring out how to do that, okay? Okay. All right, y'all. I'm gonna jump off app. I might try to stream again tomorrow. Thank you all for showing up. I appreciate it. And I will see you tomorrow. If I can remember how to turn this off, that would be amazing. It's been a minute since I've... Okay. Alrighty. All right, so you're supposed to have rights and liberties that are inalienable. That means that they cannot be taken away. These are not to be taken away, and they are constitutional rights. Period. Okay. Freedom of speech, freedom of movement, probable cause, warrants, signed by an actual judge, where the judge looks at that warrant and pores over it and makes sure that it is lawful and constitutional. Due process, habeas corpus, unlawful search and seizure, protection from that. Apparently, you have none of that now in the US, and that is terrifying. Everyone should be terrified of that. Okay, so I'm probably going to jump off here in a minute. If anyone has any questions, anything that you want to say or ask or anything, no. Oh, this app is being so weird. Weirder than usual. All right, y'all. It's been about half an hour. I'm gonna jump off. Might give it a few minutes. Baby girl's gonna be coming home from school here in a bit, so I'm not sure if I will be able to jump on again today, but I will try to at some point. I need to figure out how to share videos. Screen up. Just gonna take a moment and look and see if I can figure it out. I've never used OBS this way before. I usually just use it to make edited videos. I have to figure it out at some point. All right, y'all. I'm gonna. Oh, hey, Artemis. You're over on Twitch. Right. That's a cute little sticker. That is cute. I have got to figure out how. Like, I have all kinds of videos saved to share. I just don't know how to do it on here yet. Let me see. Quick. I mean, sometime this century that'd be awesome. Okay, so they've changed things on here too. Yay! Woot woot. Sometimes I hate it when things change, at least in this way. Okay. I have to figure out how to share videos. And live streams. Okay, all of you on YouTube, please hit the like button, the subscribe, the things, all the stuff. All of the engagement helps. And by we, I mean me. Um, because every bit of engagement helps build up the channel, and it is hard building things up on YouTube sometimes. Content labels, no. All right, I'm gonna have to stay on here after I end the live stream so I can figure out how to share videos on it. Because once that happens, we're really gonna hit the ground running because I have examples of all of the messed up BS I've seen going on all over the place. Fade, cut. All right, y'all, I'm gonna get going. I will see y'all later. Thank you for everything. And remember, you're supposed to have the right to remain silent, and you're supposed to have the right to freedom of movement and freedom of speech. And you should fight for that because that is extremely important. Don't be lackadaisical. Don't sit back and just do nothing and be like, oh, I'm content. It's fine. I'm retired. Because then you're condemning your grandchildren, your great grandchildren to have to fight for what you should have fought for. All right. Love y'all. Bye.